My dear people of Ghana, welcome back on the AM show. Time now for me to share with you my blunt thoughts. My name is Benjamin Akakwo, and this morning I've titled my blunt thoughts, Beautiful Tombs, Ugly Bones, the Cosmetics of Our Failed Leadership. Beautiful tombs, ugly bones, the cosmetics of our failed leadership. A lot of the time I contemplate Ghana and my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds on the back of the many wrongs, the many ills that go on in this country. There are good things, yes, but the rot going on, the failure of leadership is something that all of us ought to be concerned about. While putting together my thoughts for my blunt thoughts today, I contemplated once more that passage of the Bible which talks about the Pharisees and other Jewish leaders of Jesus' time. It kind of reminded me of the trend of leadership that we've been encumbered with in this Fourth Republic, especially under this particular administration. They are elegant, glamorous with words, but when it comes to delivery, it is nothing to write home about. Let's go to Matthew chapter 23, verse 27, and you'll understand better what I'm talking about. It's right behind me. There it is written, "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees? Hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but filled on the inside with dead people's bones and all sorts of impurity." Reflect on that. That is what a lot of our leaders look like. Outside, glamorous talk. They pay lip service to our needs, but when push comes to shove, they capitulate and they leave us hanging. I'll be talking about Galamsey, Green Ghana, and the Happiness Index. But even as I get into that, I cannot forget that story about a little girl, 7 months old, right here in Ghana. On World Water Day, we spoke about her. Someone has died. Another person is in critical condition. In fact, many people. But this girl's story hit me because she's only 7 months old. And you know what? She's already passing kidney stones. 7 months old. Months, not years, 7 months. And she's passing kidney stones because our system has failed her. In that community, they do not have access to potable drinking water. And so, that is her situation. We've condemned her right from birth. This is Ghana at 66. Ghana, come with me. There are other things I want us to quickly look at as we go back to our slides. Let's move on to the next slide. I want you to contemplate this. On the Obuasi Road, this is what happened recently. An unemployed pregnant woman was filling potholes to raise money to start a business. Unemployed, pregnant, no means of sustenance. And she was filling potholes on the road. The same roads, I guess, Mr. President has been speaking about, just to earn some money. Let's go to the next slide as we contemplate Galamsey and road construction and all of that. Government has built more roads than any government in the history of the Fourth Republic. You see it in quotation marks because it is Mr. President who said that. That's why his picture is attached. A large amount of the money we borrowed are for road construction. Wow. I don't know, that pregnant woman obviously hasn't seen that sort of development on that stretch in Obuasi. And that, by the way, is a mining town, a mining community. Let's go to the next slide. Let's also contemplate what Professor Frimpong Boateng has been saying about Galamsey. You remember him? In recent times, he's been pretty vocal. He says, "Let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. They know the truth." Who are they? We'll find out. Now, things are coming up. We know those who are behind it and the party people who are there, people in government, including the Jubilee House, who are doing Galamsey and so on, even now. Next slide. And then we see the response. Trademark. The president tasked the police to investigate allegations by the former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation regarding the seat of government's involvement in illegal mining. What does the next slide say? Let's quickly get to that one. But we've heard from Member of Parliament for Builsa South, Clement Apak, who says, "I worry that this call for the CID to conduct this investigation could be a plot to clear yet again persons in government from wrongdoing. And in the past, we have seen exactly that happen. It's become a sort of fun belt. Clear, clear, clear. Let's see whether this time the Member of Parliament for Builsa South will be proved wrong. Let's go to the next slide. Now, if you look at some officials at the presidency currently involved in Galamsey, or as the picture has been painted, COCOBOD has indicated that it will need the support of security services to halt the devastating effect of illegal mining, also known as Galamsey, on the cultivation of the crop. The EU has already warned that it may be forced to boycott the purchase of Ghana's cocoa if deforestation and illegal mining of cocoa farmers are not stopped. That is where we are, Ghana 4. We're even getting threatened by our buyers. And yes, they can afford to do that because we are at their beck and call, because we've not added any value to our products. And so when they threaten, we must listen. But even then, look at what Galamsey is doing, not just to our water bodies, to our land resources as well. Pollution. Let's go to the next slide. Now, if you consider in mitigating the situation, we've embarked on the Green Ghana project and all of that. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. Guess what? 9 months ago, we had this headline, Green Ghana project, 20 million trees to be planted today. We celebrated it, we were happy and all of that. But today's headlines, in recent times, goats and ponche ate seedlings planted under Green Ghana project because they were not protected. That's an elderly friend of mine, Awila Sewa. She's an environmentalist. So wait, we expended money, and we'll get to the figures shortly. We expended money on this project. And in some areas, in some cases, we couldn't even protect the seedlings. We had procured with taxpayers' money, and they got eaten by goats. Let's go to the next slide. In fact, in the end, touching on the Green Ghana project, we planted some 7 million trees in 2021, 80% of which have survived and are doing very well. I recall listening to Mr. President standing on the day saying this. And I asked myself, where did he get the figures from? Who gave him the figures? The lands minister? Or was it the deputy? Was it Owusu Bio who gave him the figures? We'll track this and find out whether indeed 80% of them survived after the goats had a field day. Let's get into the other factors in terms of cost. Benito Owusu Bio, Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, has been telling us that, guess what? We expended 9.6 million. That was what was budgeted for 20 million seedlings in 2022. 9.6 million. Keep that in mind. But when we go to the next slide, you will actually find out what we actually owe. And this is because in recent times, we have had some people come out and say, we're owed money, we've not been paid, what's the situation? What we actually owe our seedling providers is an amount of 28 million Ghana cedis, which will soon be cleared. So 9 million, which we expended. Where does this figure come from, though? 28 million Ghana cedis. And if we're spending all of this money, 28 million Ghana cedis, do you know what that could do? What do we have to show? To show the ordinary Ghanaian taxpayer who is feeling the brunt of the economy that, look, your 28 million Ghana cedis went into this specifically. This will be the aggregate benefit to your community, to our society, to our country in general. Who is taking that on? Let's go to the next slide. Now, this is where I get a bit curious. As I look at the World Happiness Index, and there's a reason I'm bringing it up, it is very little surprise that Ghana has been dropping. In fact, this report is put together by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. And in our ranking, we have dropped from 111th in 2022. In fact, from 95th in 2021. And now we rank 111th. Let's go to the details so you get exactly what is happening here. Now, if you look at the current ranking, the first placed country, Mauritius, is 52nd. In fact, there's no African country in the top 50. So Mauritius ranks 52nd. Can you imagine this? Libya is second. Cote d'Ivoire. We like talking about, oh, and we are doing better than Cote d'Ivoire. They are far better than we are. South Africa, Algeria, Liberia with all its woes. Senegal. Look at the West African sub-region. Cameroon is out. Senegal. Look at Gabon. Guinea. In fact, war-torn, not war-torn, but coup-ravaged Burkina Faso. We're ahead of them. Benin, Comoros, and Uganda. We've dropped from 95th to 111th. And no surprise. Look at the exchange rate. Still, look at the inflationary rate. The Bank of Ghana has increased its policy rate by another 150 basis points, bringing the total to 29.5%. What do you think that would do? What do you think that would do to ordinary people? I'm not saying it's an entirely wrong move, but what do you think that does to us in the midst of all of this? Fuel prices are still high. Let's go to the next slide. Now, the World Happiness Index looks at GDP per capita, social support. What's your GDP per capita? You know what it is. Social support, practically non-existent in Ghana. Healthy life expectancy at birth. I told you of that 7-month-old baby who is passing kidney stones. 7 months. We've condemned her through no fault of hers. Freedom to make life choices. Generosity, perception of corruption. And as for this one, I don't even need to talk plenty. Manu Bukiti, let's go to the next slide. Now, to wrap it all, government, upon all of what I've been speaking about, is hoping to pass these 3 bills. And we know today the Parliament will go on recess. Whether they're going to be able to pass this today, no one knows. But everyone I've spoken to, from economists to the business community to the Chamber of Commerce to Guta, are saying this will only literally hang us. Lau, if you add these. So we are hoping to add some 3.8 billion, almost 4 billion. Income tax amendment, 1.2 billion. Excise duty, the amended bill, 400 million. The growth and sustainability amendment bill, 2.2 billion. That is where we find ourselves as a country. As I end, it is no surprise that we are falling on the happiness index. It is no surprise at all. No wonder. But I have a word or two for our leaders, or should I say our misleaders in this country, who have left us where we are. Despite all the boons, natural, human resource that we have, we're still in the pit of poverty. We're grinding. Our leaders ought to be ashamed of themselves. I'm saying it. Many of them. I'll leave you with 2 quotes as I conclude. One that I found out only yesterday, and it hit me so hard. The other one I've known for years. I want our leaders, our misleaders, to contemplate these 2, especially those who have amassed wealth on the back of the sweat, the blood of the ordinary Ghanaian, who cannot afford the luxuries that they take for granted. One is by Dr. Mizamo Masito, who says, "The poor do not sleep because they are hungry, and the rich cannot sleep because the poor are awake." Think of that. The poor do not sleep because they are hungry. And the rich cannot sleep because the poor are awake. They've amassed everything, and now they can't even shut their eyes because they are wondering whether the poor will come and rob them. Create a just society, and you will not need to do that. The second quote, putting the matter differently. It's something I came upon many years ago. It says, "One day, the poor will have nothing left to eat but the rich." One day, the poor will have nothing left to eat but the rich. We saw it in Sri Lanka when they pounced on leaders. I'm not saying we should do that, but where we are headed in this country, it clearly is the wrong direction. You can choose to be partisan and say it is not, but we all know where we're headed in this country. And something must be done to turn the ship around. And it's not the IMF deal that will get us there. Those are just shenanigans. To such people who are in office, those who are not tainted, those who have not sullied themselves, you're good to go. But those who have ridden on the back of the sweat, the blood, the toil, the labor, the tears of the ordinary Ghanaian, and are still robbing us without providing for us, I say, if you do not create the society we all want, someday some people will come to you and take away everything you think you have, everything you love, everything you have stolen from the poor, you will vomit forth. Ghana for Manoesi. I say all of these things because I love, deep down, the red, gold, green, and black of Ghana. I love my motherland. I don't have any other one. This is what I stand for. And I share these blunt thoughts with you this morning, raw, hot, undiluted, unedited, in the hope that our leaders will listen and that Ghana someday will be that land flowing with milk and honey, a better place for us all, not just for me, for that 7-month-old baby who is passing kidney stones because as of today, she doesn't have access to potable water. God richly bless Ghana and make her great and strong.